Good morning, Crosspoint friends. This is Lydia Strong. Sorry we couldn't make it out to be with you guys in person today, but we wanted to just share a little bit of our story with adoption and fostering, and it's been a crazy, oh goodness, last few years on this journey that we're on. But I just wanted to share a little bit about our story and just tell you, the great things that God's done for us, and hopefully somebody who sees this today will think, I could do that, and then want to do it, and it'll change your life, I promise. So we, fostering and adoption was never anything that we really thought that we'd really do. Like, never even really talked about it. We had our 2 kids. We had a boy and a girl. Life was good. And we taught in Oklahoma City at Western Heights, which is a pretty rough school district. There were 2 little boys at my school. One of them was in my daughter's class in kindergarten, and she would come home and talk about wanting to pray for Datorion. And so even in kindergarten, we'd pray for this kid named Datorion, that she just felt like he needed some help and that he wasn't safe. And so we prayed a lot for Datorion. And then the next year when he was in 1st grade, he and his brother ended up coming into foster care. And so I kind of had made a connection with him at school. And so when we found out about them, we decided, okay, what's 2 more kids? We could do this. And so we brought these 2 boys into our home, and we had them for about 6 months, and then they left to go live with their aunt, who ended up adopting them. And so, they left. We thought, okay, we've done our good deed. We can get back to our easy life with our 2 kids. And then God laughed and was like, nope, you're not done with this yet. And so then we started fostering again, and we decided this time we were just going to do babies because, they're so much easier than the big kids, right? And so we started with an agency in Edmond, a Christian agency called Lilyfield, and they were wonderful to work with. And we brought home a little girl and had her for about 2 weeks. And so, she left, and we were super sad. But then they told us about another baby that was available at the hospital. And so we went a few days later, picked up this little newborn, just had him for a couple days, and he left to go to family 2. And we were just like, okay, God, we want to do this, but this is really hard when they leave, God, and it really stinks. And we cry because we get so attached to them. And that's one thing that I always hear people talk about with foster care and adoption is, well, you'll just get too attached. I couldn't do that because I'd never give them, wouldn't be able to give them back. And, well, that's okay, because they need people in their life that are going to get too attached and cry when they leave. And, if you're not, crying when they leave, you didn't love them enough, and so he left again. And then we found out about this other little guy, ended up bringing home this cute little, almost 7-month-old baby the next day. And he stayed forever, and he is now 7, and his name is Spencer. And he is the smartest little kid I know. That's, man, he's sharing a reading series right now with my 8th grader, and they're sharing this series that they're reading together. And so I love it. He's an amazing kid. He was born with a cleft lip and cleft palate, and so we had a lot to learn with him when we first got him, because we'd never, really knew much about that. But it was super easy. We brought him home, and he cried the whole way home from Edmond. And we looked up YouTube videos on how to use his special bottles. And so we figured out how to feed him. And then he has just taken off and done great things in his little life so far. We still are connected with his parents a little bit. I'm friends with them on Facebook. And so they can see, kind of what we're up to and how he's doing. And we've got a pretty good connection with his dad. And so we try, every few months to get them together and let him, see Spencer for a little bit. And we usually go out to eat with him and just get to spend some time with him. And so, there's so much in fostering. It's about the kids, but you're also, loving these families as well. And there's so much, there's a cycle that a lot of these families are just stuck in of, kids going into foster care, and then parents losing their rights, and just, it was just this generational cycle that we wanted to break. And so that's kind of, our hope in all this is that, we've brought kids into our home now that we've been able to show love to. We've adopted, 4 of them. And we're able to love their families along the way as well. And I think that is one of the most important parts of this, is just being able to, love these families, because a lot of times you know, they grew up in foster care as well, and they don't have, you know, good support, you know, to help them, and, you know, just people to be there and cheer them on when they're doing good and when they're able to, you know, make these little, you know, baby steps in their, you know, their programs they have to work to be able to get their kids back. And so I'm thankful that we have that relationship with his family, his dad. And so we're able to, you know, still see him, and he knows, you know, that he's got 2 moms and 2 dads, and we all love him, and he's such a loved little kid. And then we had our 2 other girls that we brought in, the next year after we got Spencer. We ended up adopting them as well. Their little brother was born the week before their adoption. So that was exciting. And we did a whole lot of praying about, you know, God, can we take on another kid? Cause, you know, 6 kids is just ridiculous. But then we realized, you know, we're already this outnumbered with 5 kids. So, you know, what's one more? And so we ended up bringing, Joshua home. We actually met him, when he was 2 days old. He was born in Altus and was meta-flighted to Lawton, where he spent 6 weeks, in the NICU there for drug withdrawals. But we were able to go see him as often as we could. My parents got permission to go see him as well. And so pretty much every day, if we weren't able to be there with him, my parents could, or he had amazing nurses that would come and just hold him when they had breaks. And so we had, you know, a lot of people loving on this little kid and praying for this little guy. And he is now 4, and oh my goodness, the kid is unstoppable. To look at him now, you'd never know that he had such a rough start, with what all his little body went through and what all he had to go through. And it's just, he's an unstoppable little beast is a good way to describe him, I guess. We've said that he's got a bright future of either being a stuntman or in the military or a linebacker. His future is very bright. So yeah, so we are now, you know, a family of 6. We've adopted all these kids. And I cannot imagine how boring our life would be if we only had our 2 original kids. They're now a sophomore and an 8th grader. And I was thinking about it the other day and just thought, you know, if we only had these 2, you know, I can't imagine how boring our life would be, and just, you know, how much we would have missed out on over the years, being able to, you know, love on these other kids. And over the years, we ended up having, oh my goodness, 6 other foster kids come in and out. And so, you know, and that was tough on Hannah and Isaac. It really was. You know, they were younger and, you know, would get attached to these babies just like we would. And, you know, we'd cry, and, you know, then you just pray for the next one that God's going to bring you. And sadly, you know, there's always kids. And so there's always going to be a next one that needs you. And, oh gosh, I just remember when we were preparing to open our home again after we were through with the 2 boys from my school, and we were just praying so much. And I remember every time I would turn the radio on, Audio Adrenaline song Kings and Queens would be playing. Like every time. It was so weird. And it was like, okay, God, I get it. I get that you're screaming at us saying this is what you're supposed to do. And so, you know, we jumped in, and just, it's been a wild ride, but it's been an amazing ride. And I can't imagine not having a house full of 6 children now. We even, you know, attempted a few months back there was another kid that we knew previously that was available for adoption. We brought her into our home, and she was here for about 3 or 4 months, and we, you know, we were going to do this. We were going to adopt this kid, and it just ended up not working out with our family and with her. And so she decided, you know, she, you know, didn't want to be adopted by us. And so it was a tough time for all of us. And it's sad, you know, you step out and, you know, in faith and do these things, but then sometimes God's like, nope, that's not what, you know, the direction I'm leading you and your family in this time. And so that's been hard, you know, to accept that, okay, you know, we tried and we failed, and, you know, it didn't work out with this kid, but that's okay, because God is still good, you know. And she's, you know, where she's at now, she's, you know, we're just praying for her that she finds, you know, the perfect home for her. And, you know, it's, you know, it was heartbreaking, you know, 2 weeks ago when she left, when Jen first asked me about coming out and speaking, and I was just like, I'm not in a place today that I feel like I can come out and talk about this. But now I feel like, okay, we're good. We've moved on. You know, God is good. He's carried us through this, you know, crazy time that we've had these last few weeks. And so fostering and adoption is the hardest thing we've ever done. but it is also the most amazing thing and the most rewarding thing. And, you know, like I said, I can't imagine having a house that is not full of kids. We ended up having to add an upstairs to our house because we bought our house and we were never going to outgrow it. And then, you know, God laughed and we outgrew our house. And so now we have a 2-story house to house all of our many children in. But it's amazing. If, you know, you feel like God is putting this on your heart to foster or adopt, you know, don't ignore it. Especially, you know, if every time you turn the radio on and you hear songs or you're constantly reading verses, you know, that are just like, okay, God, I get it. You know, it's so worth it. And so, you know, if you ever, you know, have questions about it, I'm sure Jen can give you, you know, my number, and feel free to call or text, because I love talking to other people about this, and I love encouraging others and just wanting, you know, other people to get to experience, you know, the amazingness of God's goodness that we have over the years. Yeah, hopefully next year when y'all do this again, we'll get to come out. But, you know, and as you can see, I'm sitting in my car, which is kind of a weird place to do a video, but with my house full of kids, this is the only place that I can be that is quiet, and kids are not constantly out here, you know, asking me for something. So that's why I'm sitting in the car. But I hope you guys have a great Sunday, and just a great week. And, you know, if you have questions about this, please feel free to reach out. Because like I said, I love talking to people about this and hopefully encouraging others to want to open their homes and jump into this craziness that God's calling you to, and it will change your life, I promise, for the better. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.